Pam and I first met when we were both on the board of directors at a not-for-profit in Broward County. We've been together, it'll be 17 or 18 years in November. Shortly after we met, we both took up golf, but I have to admit that Pam had a lot more patience for it. I think it's because she just loved being out on the golf course with friends. It really gave her a time to interact and spend time with people. And it also is an environment, frankly, where you can be outdoors, and she was able to smoke. Pam has always been a prolific smoker. She grew up in a tobacco family, and so it was normal. I'm told from her friends in high school that, you know, you or I may have had a candy dish in our living room when we were growing up, and Pam's family had a basket of cigarettes when you walked in the door. I mean, I pictured being 80 years old, pushing her in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank through Sawgrass Mills with emphysema, so, you know, I didn't like that potential future. And we had 2 kids, so I was confused about, you know, the mixed messages that we were sending our kids, telling them not to smoke, but then having a role model who was smoking. I was in Washington for work, and I was supposed to fly to New York, and at the last minute, Pam said, you know, I'd really like you to come home for my dad's birthday. And so I flew home. I mean, it was just a totally last-minute thing, and I actually had a flight to New York booked for 7 o'clock the next morning. You look back on nights like that and you think, you know, when I left the house this, you know, the outfit that I was wearing, you know, all of these things, when you're going through those motions that, you know, you're getting dressed, you're putting your makeup on, you're just, the furthest thing from your mind is that the evening could end the way it did. I noticed that Pam didn't finish her coffee, which is a little unusual, and I noticed that one of the guests wanted to take her picture, and she sort of blew off the woman, which is not like Pam. And about 2 minutes after that, she came up to me and said, you know, I'm really not feeling well, let's go now. So we got in the car and turned the corner, and as soon as we got around the corner, she said, I need you to drive. And that was the turning point. That's when I knew something was really wrong, because she doesn't do that. And so we switched seats, and I looked over at her, and she looked like death warmed over. I mean, she was gray, she looked just clammy, and you could tell she just couldn't get comfortable. She was really in a lot of discomfort, so I asked what was going on. She had pain between her shoulder blades, and she was nauseous, and her arm seemed to be hurting, and she asked, you don't think I'm having a heart attack, do you? And, you know, there were 2 answers. One answer was, in my mind, one answer was, there's no way, just complete disbelief. And the other was, that's exactly what this sounds like. All I remember is, we need to get to the hospital really quick then. And so I looked at her, I said, do we need to go through the red lights? Which was sort of, I guess, my way of saying, probably I was gonna go through the red lights anyway. It was sort of my way of saying, like, how bad really is this? And she said, yeah, and so right away I knew. So we got to the hospital within maybe 2 minutes. And they said to us, Pam's having a heart attack, but you got here just in time. It's just at the beginning, so it's gonna be okay. And the nurses were standing by, and they were asking me questions, obviously. And, you know, as soon as I would say, she smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day, they would all say, oh, okay. And the last nurse left the room to go get her water, and we were in one of those side rooms in the emergency room. And I was holding Pam's hand, and we were talking, I don't remember what it was about, but I'm gonna guess it was about the Miami Heat, because there was a game on that night. And I asked her a question, and in the middle of her sentence, when she was answering me, her mouth just sort of dropped open, like sideways, and her eyes rolled back in her head. All I can say is time stood still. And they used those paddles on her, and they used them twice. And they put a bag on her face. And the machine that she was connected to just flatlined.